Information processing theory. Information processing theory is a cognitive framework that explains how humans perceive, interpret, store, and retrieve information. It compares the human mind to a computer where information flows through a series of systems that encode, process, and output knowledge. This theory is central to understanding learning, memory, attention, and problem-solving, and it has been applied widely in education, psychology, and cognitive development studies. Unlike older theories that focused primarily on observable behavior, information processing theory emphasizes the internal mechanisms of thinking and understanding. By exploring how people acquire, organize, and use information, this theory provides insight into how knowledge is constructed, how skills are developed, and how challenges such as memory limitations and attention difficulties arise across the lifespan. The theory posits that cognitive processing involves a series of stages through which information passes. First, sensory input is received from the environment through the senses, such as sight, hearing, and touch. This sensory information enters a brief storage system called sensory memory, which holds impressions for a few seconds or less. Sensory memory allows the brain to capture detailed information momentarily, enabling attention mechanisms to select relevant data for further processing. Most sensory input is quickly discarded, while selected information moves into short-term memory. Short-term memory, also called working memory, is a system where conscious thought occurs. It holds information temporarily, typically for a few seconds to a minute, and has a limited capacity of about 7 items, give or take 2. Working memory is essential for reasoning, problem-solving, comprehension, and decision-making. It allows individuals to manipulate information actively, such as performing calculations, following instructions, or comparing ideas. Because its capacity is limited, information must be encoded efficiently or transferred to long-term memory for permanent storage. Techniques such as chunking, rehearsal, and elaboration help manage short-term memory limitations and enhance retention. Long-term memory is the permanent repository for information where knowledge, skills, and experiences are stored over time. It has a vast, virtually unlimited capacity, and it is organized in meaningful ways, such as through semantic networks, schemas, or associations. Long-term memory includes explicit memory, which involves conscious recall of facts and events, and implicit memory, which involves unconscious learning, such as procedural skills or habits. Information stored in long-term memory can be retrieved when needed, allowing individuals to apply knowledge to new situations, solve problems, and make decisions. Retrieval depends on the organization of information, the strength of associations, and cues that trigger memory access. Attention is a critical factor in information processing. Since sensory input is abundant and overwhelming, the brain must focus on relevant information while ignoring distractions. Attention determines which sensory input enters working memory and how deeply it is processed. Factors influencing attention include novelty, salience, motivation, and personal interest. Divided attention, selective attention, and sustained attention are important aspects that affect learning and task performance. Distractions, multitasking, or fatigue can impair attention and limit the effectiveness of information processing. Encoding is the process of converting sensory or short-term information into a form that can be stored in long-term memory. Effective encoding often involves meaningful organization, linking new information to existing knowledge, or using visual and auditory cues. Retrieval cues, context, and repeated exposure enhance the likelihood of recalling stored information accurately. Forgetting occurs when information is not encoded properly, decays over time, or retrieval cues are insufficient. Interference from similar information or stress can also impede memory recall, highlighting the challenges inherent in human information processing. Information processing theory also addresses problem-solving and cognitive strategies. Individuals actively manipulate information, evaluate options, and apply reasoning to achieve goals. Metacognition, or awareness of one's own thinking processes, plays a significant role in guiding attention, monitoring comprehension, and selecting appropriate strategies. For example, planning steps for a complex task, recognizing gaps in understanding, or adjusting approaches when problems arise are applications of metacognitive skills. Educational programs that teach metacognitive strategies enhance learning efficiency and cognitive performance by helping learners become more aware of how they process information. Developmental aspects of information processing have been widely studied. Children show gradual improvements in attention, memory, encoding, and retrieval strategies as they grow. Younger children may struggle with working memory limitations, distractibility, and lack of organization, while older children and adolescents develop more sophisticated cognitive strategies and problem-solving abilities. Aging also affects information processing, with older adults often experiencing slower processing speed, reduced working memory capacity, and difficulties with multitasking or recalling information. However, accumulated knowledge and experience can compensate for some of these declines, demonstrating the interplay between cognitive development and life experience. Applications of information processing theory are extensive. In education, understanding how students encode, store, and retrieve information informs teaching methods, instructional design, and learning interventions. Strategies such as breaking information into manageable chunks, providing clear cues, and promoting active engagement improve comprehension and retention. In cognitive psychology, the theory guides research on memory, attention, problem-solving, and decision-making. In clinical settings, it informs strategies for cognitive rehabilitation, helping individuals recover from brain injuries or cope with cognitive impairments. The theory also underpins research on human-computer interaction, artificial intelligence, and educational technologies, highlighting its relevance across multiple domains. In conclusion, information processing theory provides a comprehensive framework for understanding how humans acquire, process, store, and retrieve information. By examining sensory input, attention, short-term and long-term memory, encoding, retrieval, and cognitive strategies, the theory explains how knowledge and skills are developed and applied. It emphasizes the active role of the individual in thinking, learning, and problem-solving, as well as the impact of biological, developmental, and environmental factors on cognitive performance. Information processing theory has wide-ranging applications in education, psychology, and technology, making it an essential model for understanding human cognition. By exploring this theory, individuals can gain insight into their own thought processes, improve learning strategies, and enhance memory, attention, and problem-solving abilities across the lifespan. If you found this explanation helpful and informative, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more educational content.